Hi, how are you today? Have a bit of a sped up video today. I am doing a feather mold with two Just Paint Mica pigments, Sparkling Sapphire and Blackbird. So my plan for this feather is to make a rim around the edge of the feather in the Sparkling Sapphire and then let that set up and then go back in and make the rest of the feather black. My original intention was to make a thin rim of blue, but as you can see, I kind of struggle with pouring it and getting it where I want it to go, and it ends up being a little bit more blue resin than I intended originally, but look at that color. It's going to be beautiful anyway. So struggling a little bit with getting the blue stirred in because I put my craft stick through the pigment, the mica, and it stuck to my craft stick as opposed to like dispersing into the resin, so I had to stir and scrape and stir and scrape. So anyway, I'm just trying to get the blue resin into the rim, trying not to get it spread out all over and making a mess anywhere else, but getting it into the rim. And as you can see, I'm not doing a very good job of keeping this nice and tidy. But I have to tell you, this feather mold is fun to work with because it is like working with a shriveled up gumshoe. I opened it up and I thought, wow, this is going to be a challenge because it's folded over on itself almost, like it's like an envelope. And the mold is, quite snug in between, like you can see where I'm putting the craft stick in there, just trying to push the resin down into the mold and, encourage any bubbles to come out. But yeah, it reminded me of the gum boots or the gum shoes that men back in the day used to put over their fancy dress shoes when it rained outside. Probably aging myself with that comment, but that's okay. So just giving it a little massage, encouraging it to let go of those bubbles. And I'm going to let this part set up quite hard before I pour the black, because I do want to keep them separate. In hindsight, I probably should have just let this set up for a couple hours and then went in and poured the black and let them blend together a little bit at the edges. But first time with this mold, I will do things slightly different next time. So I went around and cleaned up any resin that I didn't want in the, the ones that I dripped in the wrong spots and stuff. I can do precision pouring. I have a letter mold for letter keychains, and for some reason I can pour into those teeny little letter cavities without making a mess, but this feather was a bit of a challenge. Yeah. So this is set up now. I am going to go back in and mix up my Blackbird mica pigment, and I decided to add just a touch of the Sparkling Sapphire as well, just to have a little bit of a blue sheen in the black as well. The Sparkling Sapphire is quite a coarse pigment, or coarse mica, so it's near to glitter almost, and it's very, very sparkly. So again, just trying to get that stirred up. There you can see the black with the nice blue sheen on top. So I'm hoping that will show up when this is all set up, cured. And having just having a time pouring resin. I don't know what my problem is with this feather. I should have just committed and poured the resin in there and not worried about it. But I do end up making too much resin, and I grabbed just a little Trinket dish. I put layers of leftover resin into smaller molds just to make sure that I'm using all my resin and not wasting it. I have a variety of small molds that make little things like trinket dishes and letters and keychains and all that kind of thing. Handy to have around. So there's a little trinket dish. It has some teals and blues, I think, in it, and I'm just going to pour some of this black on the bottom of it and give it a base, and then it'll be ready to demold as well. Normally when I pour resin, I almost have it so that it's domed, because the resin as it dries shrinks down a little bit and leaves that, almost always leaves that little lip. But I really filled this one. I think I overfilled it, because you'll see when I go to demold it, I have a bit of a struggle getting it out. So here I am in my art sink trying to get this feather demolded. Now, Catherine the Paint gave me a really great tip to use a little bit of soapy water and, pour the soapy water down into the mold, and it helps pop out your resin piece. And I had been doing this several times since she told me, and it works great. But I had overfilled this mold, and I have this layer of resin that's sitting over top of the seam of the mold. And I'm being kind of a wimp about it, not because it's hard to get it undone, but I know that there's a very sharp edge on that resin lip. And a couple of weeks ago, I cut myself really badly on a sharp piece of resin. So resin is, like it's like a poly, like a plastic once it sets up. And if it's a sharp, jagged piece, it will cut you. So just be aware that when you're working with resin, that the sharp edges can hurt you. But yeah, the soap, once I got that, a little bit of the mold peeled away from the resin, the soap helped, kind of help slide that mold off. So it looks really pretty. Just give it a quick rinse. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that or not, but I do. And my camera keeps turning because, why not just make, this whole thing has just been a bit of a process for me. Not bad, but anyways, I go to unmold the little trinket dish as well. And it comes out really easy, and it is super cute, but my camera decides to leave town, and you know what? You're just going to have to take my word for it. There's the feather trinket dish, and there's the little one too. Thanks so much for hanging out. Bye.